Assalamu alaikum, Imam Asif. How are you doing today?
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So we started the conversation on zakat with the last video yesterday, and so we wanted to get into the specifics of calculation today. So as you mentioned in the last video, we'll ask you to repeat what is the easiest method for zakat calculation.
So the easiest method of zakat calculation, obviously each person have a different case, so I would say consult a scholar, but just a generic answer would be that find out the zakatable wealth and give 2.5%. That's the easiest way. Find out zakatable wealth and give 2.5% on it. And this is lunar calendar every year. So make a let's say target 1st of March every year. That's easy to remember. It does not mean that you have to give it in Ramadan necessarily. Easy to remember. I will have to take out 2.5% of my zakatable wealth. And zakatable wealth are cash in hand, what you have in your bank accounts, inventory, and also according to some scholars, gold or silver. These things are zakatable wealth. You give 2.5% of the value, and that will be your zakat.
Okay, thank you for that. So that is a simple version of the formula for calculating zakat. And for anybody watching this video, we do have calculators available at WIC that has been made by Imam Asif. So if you'd like the Excel spreadsheet for that, please give us a shout out or an email. Now, to continue, there are a few offshoots of personal holdings that people have had questions about. So let's talk about two today, which is 401k and real estate. Do I pay zakat on those? If so, how do I do that?
Yeah, so let's start with the real estate. Real estate, either you are, let's say if you have a house and you are renting, that's a different scenario. And if you have a real estate business where you are basically buying the land, you are making a house and you are selling it. So basically that's a real estate business. When it comes to rental properties, if you have rental properties, then according to the vast majority of a scholar, you only give zakat on rental income, not on the house itself. When it comes to you have a real estate business, then you consider that as your inventory because that's your source of income. Then you give the zakat on the real estate. But there's a disagreement that whether you give zakat on the real estate every year or you give zakat only once. And even if you cannot sell for more than 1 year, you don't have to give zakat. Imam Malik rahimahullah says you give zakat only once. And if you cannot sell the same property, you don't have to repeat the zakat. The other three imams, they said, no, you have to keep giving zakat until you will able to sell it. So there is a disagreement. And they are legitimate disagreement based on the evidences or based on whatever is convincing to you. You can follow either of those, but that's how you give zakat on real estate. This is real estate business, not for these home which I have, let's say my vacation home or my home in Saudi, Egypt, Somalia, or in Pakistan. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real estate business. That's different than having two different homes. We don't give zakat on the things which we have for our own use. Even if we are not barely using it, we don't give zakat on it.
Okay.
And about 401k, yeah. You asked. 401k, it's obviously a big concept. It's a contemporary issue, so that's why you will see many different things of a scholar. But I'll just want to tell you 2-3 concrete opinions, which are mainstream opinions within American Muslim community. One is that it's confirmed and endorsed by Majma' Fiqh al-Islami, the largest fiqh council in the globe right now. They would say that you give on 401k 0.5%. 0.5% instead of 2.5%. They have their calculation. Let's say if you are 34 years old and if you have 100,000 in your 401k, if you want to withdraw right now, because one of the conditions of zakatable wealth that you have that money in your hand. So if you have 100,000 wealth right now, if you are able to withdraw that money, the taxes and early withdrawal penalties will going to come around 40%. So you will able to get 60,000. So 40% is basically deducted. And then within 60,000, these are invested in mutual funds, in shares. And shares have different calculations. Zakat on shares have different calculations. It's almost 1/3. So 60,000, 1/3 is 20,000. So if you see larger picture of 100,000, it's 20,000, it's 0.5%. So they said that you give 0.5%. zakat, that will be a easy calculation. And that's every year. That's every year, 0.5%. Second opinion, and that is also a very popular opinion, that you don't give any zakat at all until you withdraw the money and you keep it for 1 year, and then you will give zakat if you have more than the nisab. That is also one of the opinions. So basically, these are the two primary opinions which you will see in mainstream scholars and the community, and both the opinions are backed by evidence. So you are free to follow whatever is more convincing to your heart.
Okay, thank you for going into detail for that. If anyone has any questions, even further in any specific matter for zakat, you can email the email address that you see on the screen, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And then lastly, one of the big parts of what we deal in America is loans. And so, I've heard from different imams that if you have student loans, you shouldn't pay zakat or other types of things. So if you don't mind clarifying, what do we do for when we're in debt or have a loan?
So let's start from the foundation that zakat is on the money which you have. When you are indebted, you are basically, that's not your money, that's the money of someone else. You own that. That's the idea. The scholars who say that if you are indebted, then you don't have to give zakat. From the classical standpoint, Imam Shafi rahimahullah doesn't regard this. Imam Shafi says no matter how much loan you have to give zakat. Loan is the right of people, zakat is the right of Allah, so he doesn't distinguish. Majority, Hanafi, Maliki, Hamdi, they would say no. If you are indebted, then zakat will be deducted. All your wealth and assets you should deduct debts, and then whatever is remaining, you should give 2.5% from it. So. But the problem is that if you apply this classical calculation in our times, then all of us are indebted, because all of us have houses, you have mortgages of 100, 200,000. And if you don't have that many zakatable wealth and assets, then eventually no one will pay zakat. So the modern day dynamics of the debts have changed so much. So Majma' Fiqh al-Islami did their ijtihad, and they came up with this. They said that there is a debt for consumption, and there is a debt for investment. Istismar and istihlak. So debt for consumption and debt for investment. So let's say if you are buying a house, that's for investment. For that, you are only allowed to take annual debt. Even though if, let's say, you have 200,000 mortgage, you don't have to take that entire amount, deduct that entire amount. You only have to deduct, let's say, 12,000 annual payment. So you have to deduct 12,000. If it's debt for consumption, if you are getting married and you want, let's say, 5,000 immediately, that's for consumption. So that amount will be completely deductible. So deduct that amount, and then whatever is left over for the zakatable wealth, give 2.5%. But again, do not deduct the entire amount, because the modern day dynamics of the debt have changed so much, then eventually no one will pay zakat. It's annually, and even some scholars say monthly, but we would focus on annually because that's where the contemporary scholars, majority of them, have given fatwa.
Okay, thank you so much, Imam Asif, for going into detail with that. If anyone has any questions, you see the email address on the screen. Please send us an email. Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow, Imam Asif, and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.